But there are so many difficult places as we speak, and I would assume that these are distressing times. If you look at the conflict zones whereby UNOPS operate a lot, and the humanitarian relief that is needed for peacekeeping infrastructure and facilities. How do you look at the situation? How would you describe the challenges that your organization currently faces given all the geopolitical tensions and rivalries?
We are really living very difficult times. 25% of the people in the world live under conflict. We have not witnessed this proliferation of conflict since the World War II. So it's very impressive, the proliferation of conflicts and violence, and also very worried with the fact that some of these conflicts became forgotten. So it's compounded crises that are just having one crisis on the top of the other. There is a high concentration or correlation, almost correlation between conflict, fragility and climate in the exact same places where people are facing the impact of the floods or the droughts, the cyclones and the hurricanes. It's exactly the same places where people are under conflict and war. And therefore we need to do more, much more, to support the people from a perspective that is prevention always, humanitarian as needed, and development wherever possible. We really need an approach, an ambitious approach on solidarity, bringing peace, bringing stability, but also fostering sustainable development.
自1945年成立以来，联合国已经走过80载。从战后废墟中建立起来的全球多边体系，80年来经历多重考验，始终坚守和平与发展的初心。80年来，联合国持续推动冲突调解、人道救援、基础设施建设与可持续发展目标的实施。在战区的废墟中，在干旱的土地上，在临时医院与难民营里，联合国的工作人员为当地人民点亮一丝希望。修学校、建医院、送药品、铺公路，他们穿行在最艰难的地方，连接着战争废墟与生存的希望。如今，联合国正站在一个转折点，是破局还是失序？世界的选择至关重要。
Undersecretary General, you raised a very important correlation, perhaps few people have given a thought on, that is the correlation between susceptibility to climate-induced disasters and countries and regions already in war and conflict. Why? Or what's behind such a correlation?
Well, I think that climate exacerbates fragility, and without resilience, countries cannot foster development. So the more resilient are the countries, the stronger they will be building development. So there is a correlation between climate and development, but then there is also a correlation between peace and development. It's impossible to foster development in a country during war and during conflict. So these three dimensions, that is not exactly a correlation, but is the simultaneous impacts on climate and on wars on the same countries, is particularly worrying because it's exacerbating the pain and the suffering. It's very unfair. It's very unfair also because most of these countries are not the countries that emit most. And therefore, we really need a call on solidarity. Those countries can't address conflict, fragility, climate impacts without global solidarity and without cooperation. And I would say it's in our interest, in everyone's interest, because we live in an interdependent world. Imagine that China or Europe or the US becomes carbon neutral tomorrow. That's not the plan, but imagine that they will become carbon neutral tomorrow. It won't fix the problem, because emissions in developing countries, in the global south, will continue growing if those countries are not supported. Why? Can you tell an African country or an African continent where you have 700 million people without access to electricity and 1 billion people without access to clean water, 2.4 billion people without access to sanitation? 1 billion people that goes to bed every day without a decent meal. Can you ask them to go green? Same time that they are trying to fight poverty and to protect their people without additional financial resources. It's impossible. So I think that it's fundamental from ethical and moral reasons to support developing countries, but it's also in the interest of everyone because the climate crisis is a global crisis. It doesn't make much sense that we go totally green in one part of the world if the other part of the world will not be able to go towards this green and low carbon trajectory. And that's why it's in everyone's interest to strengthen solidarity and cooperation. We all remember what happened during the pandemic. We said nobody is safe until everyone is vaccinated. With climate, it's the same. We can be the greenest in one country, but if we don't support other countries on the green trajectory, we won't get a good response to climate change. So I really hope that everyone in the world understand that the climate crisis is a global crisis and we won't be safe unless everyone has had the chance to go towards this trajectory. And some countries, some developing countries, are lagging behind. And they are struggling with the multiple challenges, not just climate, but also war, conflicts, poverty. So I think it's really a fundamental moment, as you said. Multilateralism, it's living its defining moment, a breakdown or a breakthrough moment. Either we break through, embracing an ambitious agenda, more ambition, more commitment, more solidarity, more peace, or we risk further exacerbating inequalities and widening the gap between the North and the South.